brought you out of slavery in Egypt. I rescued you from the Egyptians and from all who oppressed you. I drove out your enemies and gave you their land. You see the sovereignty of God. He's saying, this is what I did through the prophet here. I did all this. I did this. It was my sovereignty. I chose to do all this. I told you, I am the Lord your God. I am Yahweh Elohim. Right? You must not worship the gods of the Amorites, whose land you now live, but you have not listened to me. And there lies the problem of the situation that they're in. This is important for us to grasp that last little line of this text here before we go on to the next part of this text, because this is the reason why they are in the condition that they're in. This is the result. Now, Jesus said, why do you call me Adonai, Adonai, and yet you don't do what I say? Here, God said, don't worship those false gods. But they didn't listen. So their house is not built on a firm foundation. It's not built in a solid place. And because it's not built in a solid place, now when the flood comes, they've got a problem. And so now the Amorites have come and they're in a mess. They're being run over. They're getting taken advantage of. But they're in that mess because they did not listen, because they had not made him Adonai. Then the angel of the Lord came and sat beneath a great tree at Ophrah. And I want you to think about who this angel of the Lord is as we read this text. Which belonged to Joash of the clan Abiezer. Gideon, the son of Joash, was threshing wheat at the bottom of the winepress to hide the grain from the Midianites. I think I said somebody else earlier, but it's the Midianites who are taking advantage of Israel at this point. They are ransacking them. They're taking all of their grain, anything that's, they're messing them up bad. And it's all a result of Israel not obeying what God had said. But here's Gideon. He's in the bottom of the winepress, and he's threshing grain, trying to hide it from the Midianites so they don't take it and steal it from him. The angel that's standing under the tree of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Mighty hero, the Lord is with you." Gideon's like, "Huh? Sir?" Gideon replied, "What are you talking about?" What? If Yahweh is with us, why is all of this happening to us? And where are all the miracles of our ancestors that they told us about? Where's all that stuff at? If God is with us, if Adonai is with us, then why are we in this mess? But the prophet already spoke why they're in that mess. They already got the understanding of why they're in that condition. I don't know if Gideon just didn't get the message, but the answer had already been spoken of why they were in the condition. Maybe he just didn't want to hear that part of that. Maybe he overlooked it, like some of us when we read our Bibles, we overlook that part. Maybe he didn't quite grasp that last little sentence in that equation there. You see, Gideon's circumstances didn't match his expectation. How many times in our life do our circumstances don't match our expectation? We have an expectation that God will do it this way and that way, and our circumstances are not matching our expectation. Now here, in Gideon's situation, the reason his circumstances are not matching his expectation is because the nation, were not listening to what God had said. They were serving and worshiping false gods. They were worshiping idols instead of worshiping the Creator God. Instead of bowing to Adonai, they were bowing to false gods. Gideon goes on to say, didn't they say the Lord, didn't they say Yahweh brought us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us. He's handed us over to the Midianites. So he's saying, Gideon's like, how can you say that the Lord is with us? Look at the circumstances, dude. What's up with you? Look around. What are you talking about? God is with us. Look at my circumstances. But the Lord, Yahweh, Gideon replied, how can I rescue Israel? Oh, I missed the part. Let me go back to verse 14. Then the Lord Yahweh turned to him and said, go with the strength you have and rescue Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you. Now, Gideon just expressed to him, listen, don't you see the circumstances we're in? Don't you realize the condition don't match my expectation? Don't you realize that it doesn't look like to me that God is with us? And then his response to Gideon is, listen, go and rescue Israel. Go and rescue Israel. Go with the strength that you have. Gideon's like, I'm down here hiding in the grain floor, trying to get up enough food together, and you want me to go with the strength that I have? But he ends that sentence with saying, I am sending you. In other words, I am with you. I am sending you. But Lord, Gideon replied, how can I rescue Israel? My clan is the weakest of the whole tribe of Manasseh, and I'm the least in my family. But the Lord said, I will be with you. I watched an interview this week on Facebook with Reinhard Bonnke. It was an old interview with Reinhard Bonnke. Now, you may not, I don't know if you know who that is, but he is an evangelist, has been around for a long time. Not sure if he's still alive. I think he is. Not sure. But he is known for having revivals where he prays over dead people and they get up. He prays for the blind people and they get healed. You talk about a healing ministry and the amount of miracles this man has seen in his ministry are just off the chain. I mean, if you go look at his ministry, you'll just be blown away. And I was listening to this interview with him, and he said when the Lord started him out in ministry, and he had called this big time preacher to come preach, and the guy got there and he wouldn't even preach. He refused to. He preached like a couple of minutes and then he left and wouldn't come back. And God told him, "You go and you preach." And he was just devastated. He was crying. He was just devastated. And he told the Lord, he said, "I'm a zero. I'm a zero, Lord. How can I do that? I am a zero." And I don't know about you, but I experienced that. I know what that feels like. I feel like I'm a zero when it comes to this work of the Lord. But Reinhard Bonnke said, I know that I'm a zero, but I found something that when Jesus he's a 1. And when he comes and stands beside me, suddenly my 0 is a 10. I'm nothing without him. But when he stands beside me, suddenly my value is increased. My 0 goes to 10. And when another 0 comes and stands beside me, the value is increased yet again. Now the value is 100. When another 0 comes and stands beside me, now the value is 1,000. The last 0 added every time is adds the most value, in fact. So yes, I am a 0 today, but I have a 1, Jesus, in front of me today. Jesus says, go, I am sending you, I am with you. Gideon, that makes all the difference. The Lord said to him, I will be with, verse 16, I will be with you. And because I am with you, Gideon, listen, and you will destroy the Midianites as if you were fighting against one man. It's 2 against 1, Gideon. It's me and you against 1. Now you think about in my analogy there of zeros added. I think was it 30 or 300 men that he, I'm trying to remember. I think it was 30 that he went out that way. I think it's 30. That he wound up going to with the clay pots and the candle under them, right? But each one of those are a 0. What's 1 with 30 zeros behind it? That's a lot of men. That's a lot of value there. Now, the Midianite army was huge. It was vast. But they were outnumbered. Because there was a 1 in front of a bunch of zeros. I mean, they were a bunch of clay pots and candles. That was zeros. They had nothing. They had no value as fighting men. But they had a 1 in front of a bunch of zeros. That's the value of Jesus being with us or not being with us today. Do you have Jesus in front of you today? Is he walking beside you? Is he Lord and Master? Is he Adonai today in your life? Then the Lord, verse 17. Gideon replied, if you're truly going to help me, show me a sign to prove that I'm really talking to the I am. I need to know I'm talking to the one that Moses talked to. That I'm really talking to God himself. Now, who is this angel? Think about that now. Gideon wants to know, am I really talking to God himself? Is this God speaking to me? Don't go away. I'm coming back with an offering. I'm going to bring it to you. And they said, I'll be here. Go on. Gideon goes and he gets him a young goat and a basket of flour and he bakes some unleavened bread and he carries his basket back and he puts the meat and the bread on a rock there and he pours the broth over it and suddenly the angel puts his staff down and touches it and flames come up and consume the bread and the meat and the broth. And Gideon at that moment that doesn't make Gideon believe. At that very second it doesn't say. It says then he disappeared. And when he disappeared, suddenly Gideon. Now, it says, and the angel of the Lord disappeared. Adonai disappeared. Notice there it's Adonai. Adonai disappeared. And when Gideon recognized that it was the angel of the Lord, when he recognized it was Yahweh, when he realized this was God standing before him, oh, Gideon says, I'm in trouble now. Oh, man, I've messed up. I've seen the Lord face to face. And I know what that means. Because I know what Moses said. I know that nobody can see the Father face to face, so I'm in trouble. But he wasn't face to face with the Father. He was face to face with the Son. Because you can't stand face to face with the Father. This is a Christophany. This is an appearance of Jesus in the Old Testament. How do we know that? Well, if you careful reading of the text there shows us plainly. Gideon recognized it was the angel of the Lord. He recognized it was an angel of Yahweh. The angel of Yahweh. He cried out, O sovereign Adonai. O Adonai Yahweh. O sovereign God. You see, he recognizes who it is. O sovereign God. O Adonai Yahweh. I'm doomed. I've seen the angel of the Lord. I've seen the angel of Yahweh face to face. I'm in trouble deep. I've messed up. It's all right, the angel says. The Lord, the Yahweh replied, do not be afraid. You will not die. Then Gideon built an altar to the Lord there, named it Yahweh Shalom, which means the Lord is peace, which we'll do in another series. The altar remains at Ophrah in the land of Abizar to this day. Friend, what I want us to recognize, what I want us to know today, I'll close with this, is that we must recognize Jesus as Lord and God. We must make him Adonai in our life, Lord and Master. Give him our all today.